This is a quick video to show how to change the oil on the Harbor Freight 2000 Predator inverter. It's not that complicated, but sometimes it helps to have a video to reference, so I thought I would share this. I've just put my first set of hours on this generator, and according to the manual it needs an oil change. So I'm going to put this Mobil synthetic 10W30 in. Okay, so what you need for this is a Phillips screwdriver, and you open up the side opposite of the pull starter. So I will go ahead and get that off and come back. Okay, well, I've taken the cover off. There's just 3 screws to remove at the top, and then the cover you can see over there. Just basically you tilt it forward an inch or two and then lift it straight out, and it comes right out. And then you can see the location to check your oil right here, and I checked the oil in this one. Again, this is the first oil change on this guy. It's only had about 8 hours on it, and the oil looked really clean, no leaks, nothing like that. But I think manufacturer recommends that you go ahead and replace it anyways during the break-in. So that's what we're doing. So I've got a pan here to catch the oil, and I'm just going to tip it forward and capture the oil here and then transfer it to an appropriate recycling container. That's the game plan. So let's see how that goes. Now, one thing, before you actually change the oil, they suggest that you run the engine to warm up the oil a bit. So I think 5 or 10 minutes ought to do it. So that's what I'm doing now, just kind of warming up the engine. And as soon as that's done, we'll go ahead and drain the oil. I'll try and show you this one-handed as I tip it forward. Pour out the oil. Okay, so I've poured the oil out, and I've just below the makeshift table here, I have got the pan, and it was a little darker than I thought. So you know, follow the guidelines they give you for replacing the oil. In this case, I think it was 8 hours. Pretty dirty for 8 hours. And I realized I had some another container of synthetic not used up, so the brand doesn't really matter. It's their full synthetic 10W30. Okay, so the next step is to fill it back up. And by the way, have a lot of paper towels handy. I had to do a lot of cleanup and have a bit more to do. Here is a funnel I plan to use. So we'll just drop this in here like this and fill it up. The documentation has a guideline on how many ounces to put in, but they actually show you how full to fill it. So I'm gonna kind of do a combination of both here to make sure we have the right amount of oil in, and it basically has you fill it all the way up to the just a little below the dipstick. So I'll go ahead and do that and check back in. Okay, I've got the oil added here, and I'll show you, and the manual talks about this, so you can look at the picture there, but it says 13 ounces, and if you can see in there, you can see the oil is right up to the threads here, and that's exactly what they want you to do. Okay, and I went ahead and measured in my container, and it's right about 13 ounces like the manual says. Actually, the part of the manual that talks to you about making the oil change doesn't even refer to the number of ounces to add, and maybe that's because there could be residual oil. I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple pages in the manual in just a second here. Okay, here's a quick shot of the manual, and you can see the scheduled maintenance, and that first oil change at 8 hours of use. Kind of not clear here, but first one at 8 hours of use, the next one at 50 hours, and then 100 hours, and then 300. So it looks like you get to a cadence of about 200 hours of use, and once a year changes. I'll let you look at that yourself and make your own decision. Another quick shot I'll give you is the actual oil change process. And I told you that basically how they want you to have it filled. So this is where the dipstick would go in, and you can see that's just how I had it there. And there's that for any snapshots you want to do. And then one other thing I'll just show you is the specs here at the front. And here you can see that's where the 13 ounces of oil is mentioned. Alright, one thing I decided to put on at the time of the oil change is an engine hour counter. I got this for about $5 on eBay. They're very inexpensive. And when I got it, I didn't know how they work. So I'll explain real quick because it's really simple. Basically, you wrap this wire around the spark plug. You can see a shot of the spark plug there. You just wrap it around 3 or 4 times, and it's able to track when the engine is on from the simple wire. And you literally just route this wire through a little channel at the bottom of this device, and then you can mount it on the outside of your generator, and it'll keep track of the engine hours. Kind of a handy tool so that you know when to change oil and do other maintenance. Okay, so I just threw that on there and wrapped it around the spark plug wire, and I cut off a little of the excess. Hopefully that'll be alright. Just wanted to be sure and show the final product here. You can see the oil change happened, and just running the engine because I put a little bit of gas in it to test it, and I'm going to just let that gas run out, and then I'll store it for a couple of months. And then let's see if I can get you, if I have enough light here. It got dark on me, but if there's enough light, I'll show you the engine hour counter and where I have that mounted. Okay, so the engine hour counter is mounted right there on the side, and I just had to make the smallest little notch in the plastic to let this wire out, and I used a little bit of Velcro to hold it in place, and even with the vibration it's doing fine. Okay, so I think I'll go ahead and just wrap it up here, and hopefully this is helpful. Thanks.